Welcome, wandering souls and lost sailors, to the Ship of the Dead podcast.
Welcome, mateys, back to the Ship of the Dead podcast. I'm your host, as always, Captain Limithron, also known as Luke. Today, I'm very, very excited to have Brian Shutter, the Neon Lord, creator of Neon Lords of the Toxic Wasteland, this incredible book. Brian, welcome aboard the Ship of the Dead.
Well, thanks for having me aboard, Captain.
You know, I don't want to blow smoke up your ass or anything, but I was thinking about it today, and I'm hard pressed to think of somebody I enjoyed meeting more than you in 2024.
I appreciate that. I feel the feeling's definitely mutual. Like, I had hard, sadness when we left Necronomicon for sure. I was like, damn.
So Brian and I were introduced via our friend Corey Welsh. Corey, we were at Necronomicon and Corey was like, Luke, my friend Brian's running Neon Lords of the Toxic Wasteland. You got to come. It's like the first day of the con. Meet us at this weird Airbnb above a pizza place or something like that. And I was like, well, what is it? I had seen, I probably had seen an Exalted Funeral ad for it or something.
Right, yeah.
My brother and I show up. Corey's a good friend of mine. He's been on we've done Pyroborg Live with him. And we played. I was probably the most memorable RPG session of 2024 for me. Awesome. Basically, we were I was like a frog wizard. We're going to get deep into this game, of course, but I was basically like some weird mutant frog wizard. And I cast this dubstep spell inside of a sewer when we were fighting a bunch of soon to be Ninja Turtles, right? The background to the evening was pizza, of course. Man, what a great night.
It was awesome.
Yeah. So from there, I guess things progressed. Your booth was pretty close to ours. It's not a very big convention, Necronomicon. Happens every other year. But then we ended up gaming every night. Remember we played that the Arkham Horror RPG box set?
We did. It completely messed the rules up.
We did mess the rules up. Well, we played Rings of Chaos.
Yeah, which was fun. Which
is Beetle and Grimm's new kind of battle, almost like a battle royale board game. But I thought the highlight, and I think maybe you'll agree with me, was the Call of Cthulhu Pandemic. Yeah. Right? Wow, that game is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I have it now. I bought it. I had to have it.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's Call of Cthulhu, or it's a pandemic, but instead of traveling around the world to cure diseases, you're traveling around Massachusetts to close gates to let elder ones through, right?
And mow down cultists too.
Yeah, mow down cultists. Yeah. All right, well, let's talk about this thing because, I've been thinking a lot about what an RPG is. This comes into my mind a lot. What are we actually selling as RPG creators? And I think the best answer I've come to is vibes. Really what we're selling is a vibe. Right. You know what I'm saying? And I feel there are few games that I have encountered that have encapsulated such a strong vibe compared to Neon Lords of the Toxic Wasteland. I just want to say hats off, bravo to you.
Oh, well, thank you.
What a strong vibe. Please give us, our listeners, the elevator pitch.
So the TLDR is an 80s, 90s post-apocalyptic tabletop role-playing game. Essentially, it is Guar the Toxic Avenger meets RoboCop and Judge Dredd is the huge TLDR of it.
So you gave me this pitch when we first started playing, to which I said, what's Toxic Avenger? And I feel like you flamed me for that all weekend.
A little bit. So I mean, it's essentially, if you don't know what it is, it's definitely a post-apocalyptic, 80s, 90s cartoon mixed with 80s B movies, right?
Yeah. I mean, dude, I feel hashtags for this game are VHS, Mountain Dew, or maybe more appropriately Kick, or what was the other? Surge.
Oh, definitely Surge. Yeah, I signed petitions to get Surge back all the time.
Yes. Or what else? I mean, it really reminds me of Battletoads, Double Dragon, early NES games.
Yeah.
But, from a more zoomed out, mechanic point of view, it's BX essentially, right? It's BX D&D, Basic Expert, 1981. That's the core mechanic, essentially D&D. But I don't know, man. How would you give us a taste of the setting? Where are you and what's going on?
Oh, setting wise, so you are in the far-flung, forgotten future. The apocalypse happened in 1992 via the Neon Wars. And then it's millions of years past that year zero type event. You are in what used to be America is now Neoterra XX. And it is run by the president, who's been the president for like hundreds of years. And he lives in a mega city called Detroit Prime. And so there's 3 mega cities. So all the humanoids that survive and are unmutated and everything live in Detroit Prime, Nueva Angeles, and the Kingdom of Miami. And then everything else that's mutated, monstrous, like creeps of the wastelands all live in the Neon Wastes.
Which is like everywhere outside the city.
Essentially, yeah. There's some like some pockets of humanity out there, but they're like not like, you know, structured into the big mega cities.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so like let's like go all the way back to like before this game existed. Were you like, man, I really wish this thing existed, or is this more of like you just kept hacking and like bashing other IPs that you like together? Like, why did you make this game?
Yeah, so we got to 10th level in D&D, and I was just kind of wanted to do my own thing.
Were you DMing?
Yeah, always. I'm the forever DM.
Yeah, sure.
I really wanted to make Masters of the Universe the role-playing game, right? Like, it's like, how cool would it be to be He-Man? But then everybody can't be He-Man, because it was like, everybody's going to be a He-Man. Everybody's going to run around and just, you know, swing giant swords and cause mass chaos. But then it was like, it's not going to work like in a fundamental like game mechanic wise way. Like a party is actually like pretty like important, like a party structure when it comes to like game mechanic wise too. So it's like, okay, well, I got to have like a caster class, got to have a healer class. So then slowly other classes started coming into it. And rather than doing like as close as like possible to Master Universe, it was more like, okay, like I just love like post-apocalyptic Italian movies, so I'm gonna add some of that in. You know, it's like RoboCop's awesome, and that's like quasi post-apocalyptic. You know, so Escape from New York's one of my favorite movies, and like that has that vibe to it. So it kind of all was just everything I loved like put into a game.
Like, did you start thinking that you were going to publish it, or was it like just your homebrew for a while?
The end goal of Kickstarter was to just get prints for me and my friends, right? Like, it's like whatever. Like if we kickstart it and it goes good, then we get some copies for ourselves. But then like I started handing out like the Google Docs. People are really digging it. And so it's like, well, maybe there's something else here besides just hanging out with the homies and rolling dice.
Yeah. So like how many sessions have you guys played? Like you still have an ongoing Neon Lords campaign?
Oh, no. So I was in the army when like the majority of, well, all of it was written when I was in the army. And so all those guys are like not in the area anymore.
Oh, I didn't know you were in the army. That's cool.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I was 10 years and then got out.
Wait, so how long ago did you finish this game?
2020 was like the finish. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So recently.
Yeah. Super recent.
Yeah, sure. I just feel like every page, I mean, I'm sure there are so many inside jokes that I don't get, but there are so many that I do that I'm like, I just feel like there's a lot of, like, you can tell when there's like a lot of love in a product.
No, I appreciate that.
And I think that this one does a good job of that, you know?
Yeah. It's what I love writing it, because every time I like write something, I just shake my head like this is so ridiculous in every awesome way possible.
Yeah, when we were making characters, like we just had a blast. Like, wait, can I do this? Yes. Can I do that? Yes. Like, wait, I can't remember some of the specific. Oh, I have my character sheet right here.
Yeah, perfect. That's it.
I mean, things just like even just the ability scores. So the ability scores are burliness, prowess, endurance, brains, attitude, fortune, class points, and my favorite, of course, is sleaze. Can you please explain how sleaze works from a game design perspective?
Sleaze is your anti-charisma, right? So like attitude is charisma. Sleaze is an anti-charisma mechanic where the higher your attitude, the more well-received you are in the humanoid sectors in the megacities with a nice low sleaze. But the higher your sleaze is in the wastelands, the more revered you are.
The third line on this is hairstyle. You actually roll for a hairstyle, which I mean, dude, I love this. I loved it so much. I want to talk about the classes because you have a lot. There's 12 classes in the core book, I think. 12,
and there's a hidden class in the book somewhere. So there's 13 proper.
Can I guess what the hidden class is?
You can guess, but you're probably wrong.
Is it not the goblin?
It's not.
Oh, I thought maybe I saw a thing about like being a goblin.
So that doesn't. So the goblin. So it says so you want to be a goblin, but it says underneath it, it's not the secret class.
I haven't done a like cover to cover read. I've just done the like cursory.
Tertiary. Yeah. You're good. Yeah. So the goblin, because there's like a spell that turns you into a goblin. So it's like crap. I have to have goblin stats now if you're gonna do it. Yeah. So then it just turned into it's like, well, I mean, if you want to do like a Ocean's 11 style adventure where everyone's goblins. That would be kind of cool.
Where you're like raiding a fort or something, but you're all goblins.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, so you're not going to tell me what the secret class is?
No, you got to find it.
All right. Everybody has to do homework and report back to me on the secret class. Okay. So I guess we're just going to talk about these because they're all so flavorful. I mean, like, I don't know. What would you expect if you didn't know? I feel like I'd be like, oh, there's going to be like a Terminator class and there's going to be like a hacker. But like, I would not have expected the first class to be the Bruticorn.
Yeah, Bruticorn. It's like a bicorn's mythical half unicorn, essentially mutated unicorn, half cybernetic.
Yeah, it's like a cyborg unicorn. Yeah. It's like a Bruticorn. It's probably like both my favorite and least favorite is the cyber skin. Right. Because I just love, you just committed so hard to like, okay, the cyborg class is a Ronald Reagan BattleBot clone or something. Like,
yeah.
What are the origins of this?
All right. So a lot of it stems from Warhammer 40,000.
Yeah. I was getting a big 40K vibe as I'm
okay. Perfect. Yeah. So the cyber skins are my Necrons, right? So they're like, okay. And what's more 80s than Ronald Reagan, right?
Well, I mean, I don't know that it had to be Ronald Reagan, but I do like that you thought it had to be Ronald Reagan.
Who else would it be, right? Anyway, so they like for some reason there was hundreds of thousands of these like Ronald Reagan cybernetic clones like hidden deep within the earth, and then they all like came sentient.
It's very Rise of Skywalker of you. Somehow Palpatine returned. You're like, somehow there were thousands and thousands of Ronald Reagan BattleBots, you know?
Right.
But it's not like, I would expect that to be like a monster that you run into, you know?
Yeah,
but
that's true.
It's one of the core player classes, which I just think that says so much about the kind of game that you're walking into. I'm here for it. I'm all about it.
It's such a good class too, because some like people either like really love it and get it, or they just hate it because it's Reagan, right?
Oh, I got it immediately. I just got it. Well, I mean, I will say like your political leanings probably change your opinion about Reagan for better or for worse, but that doesn't mean he doesn't make like perfect sense in the neon infested future, right?
Right.
He has like a whole 2 pages of abilities here.
Yeah, so they don't level up like normal classes. Like most classes have like a character advancement chart. Okay, that like you get like better at like your attacks and better hit points and all that stuff. But they go down that chart and you get to choose like all these upgrades as you go. So they're kind of like
it's kind of like a very droid like skill.
Yeah, they're like a rudimentary droid style, and then like. There's in the Riders of the Burp Warp book is like extended classes. So there's like 12 or 13 more classes. Yeah. There's the combat droid in that, and they're like upgraded, like in the far flung future of the cyber skin wars, like in the far future, like the cyber skins become like sentient, and then they like essentially Skynet the world over, and then they become advanced, and then the Riders of the Burp Warp is like an elder space god rips this giant burp and rips a hole into the time-space continuum and sucks out classes from, you know, like the history of the Neon Lords universe. And
is there any balancing? Like how much like playtesting and balancing do you go and think about when you make a new class?
I play test them. I mean, balance. I'm not a huge like fan of like balance per se.
No, that's okay. I'm thinking about having 24 classes. Like if you're making like a 5e style game, like that would be a nightmare to have to like play test them all. But if you're making like an OSR hack where you're like, hey, you know what? You can't power balance the encounters anyway. So why power balance the classes, you know?
Right. So I got a pretty good like nose for it at this point of like digging through them. And like a lot of them, I don't necessarily go like power wise. I go kind of like what they can do.
Like the tools that they'll add to the party composition.
Yeah. So like a good example is there is the Wasteland Weirdo class in Riders where they can alter the dice chain. So like if you have like this giant goblin, it's going to slash you. You can like spend your class point to make him roll a D12 instead of a D20 to hit. So you can kind of just like alter things like that with that class. And then there's like the rad scientist. He makes potions that he can like with beakers and vials, and then like just throws them and stuff.
It very much feels like if you were hanging out with like Bebop and Rocksteady and you like went to go play D&D with them, you know, or go play like whatever weird board game they were playing, you know.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
You talked a little bit about like the far future skin wars. Like how much lore is in this game? I mean, I see what's in the book, but like in your mind, like how deep does it go?
It goes deep.
Are people like into it? Like, or
yeah.
Like, do you have like, is there like fan conspiracy pages and shit?
I wouldn't say pages, but they ask me a lot of questions.
Like, what kind of questions do you get asked?
I'd have to look it up. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Like, just like random stuff. Like, oh, like, what does this look like? Or what does that look like? Or what do the mega city, like Detroit Prime always comes up a lot too. Cause I always say, did you ever, you know, like Kowloon, the walled city in China?
Yeah.
So like, that's how I explain it. So it's essentially like from like Detroit proper, like all the way down to like Columbus, Ohio. Like it's like this massive, like it's like all like Kowloon inside there, and they live inside.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Coffin apartments, right? So like this room is like would be like 4 apartment sizes in Detroit Prime. Like everybody lives in these mega blocks with these tiny apartments, and
yeah, it's very very Neuromancer.
Yeah, exactly. So like I get a lot of questions about like what's life like in the mega cities and stuff like that, or like the big. So there was like the during the bogus age before the gnarly age that we live in now, it was ruled by Terror Rex the Techno Lich. And I saw him a bunch. I was like, hell yeah. That sounds very, very Necron. Oh yeah, totally. His like army was the Dreadborg. So it's like, it's there. He's definitely Necron aligned, but he was vanquished, or so you think, right? And the remnants of his like reign like are still felt and stuff. And people always want to know about like Terror Rex if he's coming back and all this stuff.
So do you like how many books are there at the moment?
Ooh, that's a good question. So there is 6 with 2 more just got crowdfunded.
Yeah, what the new one was, is that the
Deities and Demi-Bros?
Tell me about Deities and Demi-Bros.
Yeah, so Deities and Demi-Bros is essentially like the name suggests, like Deities and Demigods. It is the god book for the wrestle gods, right? So Lord Randy, the Savage One, is the Zeus of the world. And now the Hell Cell has been broken open, and the rest of the Wrestle Pantheon has been freed to be worshipped yet again. So it brings all the Wrestle Pantheon into the game, as well as like the rest of the other like minor gods get explained a little better, and then all the Chaos gods get explained.
It's every time you say something, I have like 20 questions that I forget by the time I get. My first one is, where are you worried about IP things at all? Like intellectual property things? No.
So there's a couple things on our side is parody laws too, right? Like parody laws are awesome in the sense that like clearly we're not trying to infringe on it and make any money. Like I'm not Macho Man the wrestler, right? Like me personally. So like get away with a lot with parody laws. I mean, I'm not like a lawyer. So
yeah,
like,
sure.
Like I know like in the comments, they're like, well, actually, you know, so parody laws, and then we file the serial numbers off everything, right? So like there's not battle toads, they're combat amphibians. But like, I mean, Lord Randy, the Savage One, I think you could probably get away with.
Yeah. I just was wondering if you like, how much does that, like, I think is part of the joy of this game is the like fucking with all your favorite IPs, you know, like the adventure we played. I was like, yeah, dude, we're turning into turtles. Like we are in a sewer turning into turtles. And it was like, I was here for it, but you know, like in a fun way, not in a like, oh, we're going to go talk to Splinter way. You know?
Right. Yeah. I think that plays a lot into it too, where it's like, it's an homage and it's like a love letter to it rather than just like a mass cash grab trying to steal an IP.
Are there other games out there that were like an inspiration for this?
That's a good question.
I mean, obviously games like BX, that's a no-brainer, but I'm talking more on the vibe side where you're like,
yeah,
I want to do something like that, but for these things that I care about, you know?
So Gamma World is a big one, but like Gamma World's like such like a 70s apocalypse. It's like always the lost tech. It's like these cavemen, like mutant plants have a CD player and they don't know what it is. That's not for me, right? I mean, it's cool. I love Gamma World and like Mutant Crawl Classics too. The same thing. It's like that, but it's a 70s apocalypse where it's more Planet of the Apes and not, RoboCop or Judge Dredd type. That was a big thing. And then Palladium, TMNT's Palladium is a huge influence for sure. There was a human occupied landfill or hole, if you will. That game is a pretty big influence. It's pretty wild.
Never heard of that.
Oh, you should look it up.
Yeah.
It's pretty intense. A lot of inspiration comes from like Sega Genesis games mostly.
Oh yeah, I could definitely it feels that way. Like it feels like Sega Genesis and also like early 90s arcade games.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's my bread and butter. Like 90s arcade, nothing beats it.
I mean, I feel like, some of the obvious ones, obviously the Ninja Turtles game. I said Double Dragon, but even just like the Neo Geo ones and like, I don't know, pretty much anything that had that like 8-bit button smashing vibe.
Yeah. Beating them ups. Yeah. I was too poor of a kid to get a Neo Geo, so I had to make it up myself.
I didn't mean, I meant like the arcade ones.
No, I totally got it. I
always played them at like the movie theater or whatever.
I mean, especially like those multi-cabs where you could pick like Metal Slug or Samurai Showdown. Like
that's what I mean.
Bust a move if you.
Or what was the one where was it Beast Man, or where you like can turn into a werewolf pretty early on?
Altered Beast.
Altered Beast, yeah, where it's like a side scroller. I think it really what was the one? It's an adventure action side scroller where you can be like a buff dude that kind of looks like Zangief.
Fatal Fury.
Yes, exactly. That kind of vibe. Like,
oh yeah, beat 'em ups. Yeah, I love like Streets of Rage. Yeah,
but with more neon colors. What about? Are you like the cyberpunk guy?
Oh, I love cyberpunk. I just wrote for Cyberpunk Red, my first.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So October's DLC, I wrote it.
Oh, very cool. That's exciting. What can you like spoil anything that you worked on?
Yeah, I mean, it's been out. It's been out for a while. So yeah, I did cybernetic animals. I got to do. So like I pitched them mutants, right? And they're like, no, we don't do mutants. It's like, all right, yeah, that's fair. So I was like, all right, well, what about like cybernetic like lab animals that go like cyber psychosis? And they're like, all right, yeah, we can mess with this, right? So yeah, so the big piece de resistance is a giant 3-armed bear that has like a cybernetic grafted arm coming out of his chest.
That sounds perfect. Sounds very up your alley.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's like USB rabbits and like cyber ocelots.
What's a USB rabbit do?
So you can put all your data in the rabbit, and it can like run it.
Oh, it's literally like a dongle.
Yeah.
You say it like it's so like obviously like.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was cool.
I know it's definitely cool. I'm like, wait, I need the pitch first, Yeah.
You could upload data into the rabbit.
So were you working directly with Mike Pondsmith?
No, I wish. So James Hutt, we've been pretty good friends actually for a while now. He is no longer the lead design on Cyberpunk Red, so he got me in with Jay. I mean, I had a foot in the door because we've worked on games together. I like met him at PAX Unplugged last year, pitched my idea, and then they're like, finally, months later, they're like, you're the October guy for sure.
Nice. So I guess I've never played Cyberpunk Red. I'm not familiar. The DLC is like that, like their equivalent of a video game DLC, but it's just RPG content.
Yeah, but it's free every month.
Yeah. Okay,
so they give you something free every single month, which is awesome.
Yeah. Like, just to kind of keep the community going.
Yep.
Yeah. Have you played Cyborg?
So I have it. I have not played it.
I'm asking because lately I've like in the past few days, I'm like kind of rekindled my interest in Cyberpunk, And when COVID hit, like right before lockdown, I bought a second copy of Neuromancer. I bought Snow Crash. I got the Genesis Shadow of the Beanstalk. It's like the Android Netrunner RPG. And I don't know, for some reason, the past week, I've been like diving back in deep. So
same. I have a copy of Snow Crash and I'm like digging into it.
I mean, dude, he's a pizza delivery guy.
Right. Exactly.
Like, so, yeah. I mean, we didn't mention this to our users, excuse me. Listen, that's how Cyberpunk I am right now. Our users, our listeners, but prior to recording, we both enjoyed pizza separately. I thought we were going to eat it on air, but I was betrayed by the Neon Lord.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't realize that we were going to eat it on air.
Yeah, I know. It would have been a bad idea. We spared everybody. Oh, I wanted to ask you, is this Deathbringer one at all a nod to Professor Dungeon Master?
So I wrote that before I knew who Professor DM was by years, right? The game was called Power Lords when it first started. That was like going to be the name of it. And there's a game already called Battle Lords are like the 23rd century or something. Yeah. So what was left of the Battle Lord, I had to like kind of make a fighter class because you have to have a fighter class. And it was like, what sounds cool? Well, Deathbringer, you know, like the Frazetta painting.
Definitely sounds cool.
It worked out. Professor DM has a great taste, and I do too.
You guys will be fast friends. Yeah. So when I played, I was a war wizard. Because I always play wizard. But the one I want to play next time is the Noise Thrasher. Is it like kind of like a sorcerer? Maybe I just like noticed that like it has its own spell list that are like riffs that it plays.
Yeah, they're kind of like a bard class.
Bard, yeah, of course. Silly me. Yeah, of course they're a bard. Yeah, tell me what's their deal?
Their deal is that they cast riffs that a lot of times affect either help the party or hurt the baddies in mass. Right. Yeah. So they can like do a 6 solo that will like stop the creeps in their tracks. And they just can't do nothing but stare in amazement at the awesome skills.
I want to talk about wrestling because I feel like wrestling is an important part of your brand identity.
It is.
What does wrestling mean to you? Like where did your love of wrestling come from?
So that's an interesting thing. So like wrestling, I wasn't like a huge wrestling fan like growing up and stuff, but like I really love Macho Man Randy Savage, right? Like outside of like everything about him is just incredible to me. Like he had the greatest rap album of all time.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I have it on vinyl. Be a Man, Macho Man, the Randy Savage album.
But like, why? Like, what about Randy? I mean, I'm not doubting your like love for the Macho Man. I just want to understand it. You know, explain it to an outsider.
Oh, like, yeah. Well, so he's just cool. He was like, you know, like ran the best promos and was just like the ultimate, like what you would expect a wrestler to be. Hated Hogan, right? So like already he's got like all the cool points. Hated him in and out of the ring. So it's even better.
So is it safe to assume that you're not a Hogan fan?
No. Which he's in the book, but like he's not well received. He's actually Lord Hulkster, the jealous one.
I just remember like as a kid, like Suburban Commando was like,
oh, I mean, yeah, I love Suburban Commando.
I mean, that seems like very, very up your alley.
Yeah.
But you're saying it would have been better if it had been Macho Man, right?
Oh my God. Could you imagine? That's the world I want to live in.
To me, they're like two flavors of the same candy or something. Like I don't have quite the subtle grasp of it that you do, which I would like to understand though.
But this is all fairly recent is my like wrestling, like watching all the old ones now. Like I wasn't huge into it as a kid. I mean, like obviously I liked it like here and there, like as a casual, but like now like growing older and stuff, appreciate it a lot more. Sure. And it was the big thing was so Chrono Sages is a sect of weird old people that live in this tower and they suck on the sacred smoke.
This is in your game, right?
Yeah, this is Neon Lords. So these Chrono Sages, they inhale the sacred smoke. They mind travel to the past, and then they see us. They call us the flesh gods, right? They see us and they see our day to day and interpret and come back and interpret it. And so they saw wrestling and said, oh, those must have been the gods, right? Like the storylines, everything is very like a Greek tragedy, essentially. So that was like kind of like my like linchpin in it. Because I was like, oh man, how funny is that they look into the past and see wrestling and interpret it as like the gods that we would worship. But from there, Vietnam 2, the revenge happens, and then all the wrestlers get drafted, and then they go fight the commie frogs in Vietnam, and then they ascend to actual godhood, so they are actually gods.
The wrestlers are actually gods?
Yeah.
So that's why they come into deities and demi-bros, yeah?
Yes.
I'm still struggling to fully comprehend your love for wrestling, but we just have to get together sometime and watch some wrestling, I guess.
Oh, yeah. I don't watch anything new wrestling-wise. I watch most of the old stuff, and I have like a bunch of the old VHSs now. It was always in the zeitgeist of popular culture too, right? Like everybody knew who like Snap It to a Slim Jim. Like everybody knew Ultimate Warrior, like I always like admired it from afar, but was never like the kid in school that got to watch it.
Were you a fan of American Gladiator?
Oh yeah, of course. They're in the book. Don't worry. They're the Demi Bros.
You're so funny because I feel like sometimes I'll ask you a question, and I don't just mean today. I mean in general. It's either like obviously yes or obviously no. Like how could I have not known your preference?
I think it's just the way I talk. I think for sure.
I do want to talk a little bit about Goodman Games, DCC, and Mutant Crawl Classics, because when I first discovered this game and was asking you about it, I was like, oh, so it's kind of like Mutant Crawl Classics, and you were like almost offended.
Well, no, yes and no, but like it's just so. But that's the cool thing about it. Like MCC, like I was saying before, Mutant Crawl Classics is a 70s apocalypse, right? So it's more of that found tech. This is 90s Burger King Kids Club post-apocalypse.
Yeah.
That's what's so cool about like the genre too. And there's Mad Max style like post-apocalyptic too, right? Like there's all different flavors of the same idea, which I like a lot. So like, yeah, Mutant Crawl and Neon Lords are so far removed, but similar in the same sense. It's very strange.
Yeah, for me, I feel like it's kind of like if you ask someone who doesn't listen to metal, like if they like Black Sabbath or Metallica, like a non-metalhead would be like, yeah, they're both metal bands, but like a metalhead would be like, no, like, I mean, I like both, but I think some people are probably in one camp or the other,
yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, that's actually a great way to put it for sure. Yeah. It's like, yeah, from outside looking in, it's all post-apocalyptic, right? But then like you get in
post-apocalyptic with like a very strong, like neon green mutant vibe, like if you look at the like MCC line, you're right. It is a little bit more ray gun, like, and a little less, like pizza and machine gun, I guess, and guitar.
Yeah, we're more like Tank Girl.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, like one of these classes is like very super Tank Girl meets like, reminds me of the what's that Rick and Morty episode? You a Rick and Morty fan?
Oh yeah.
The one where he like hooks up with the sex bot and it like creates those aliens.
No, I know what you're talking about. It's like, and then it's like Morty's son.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I know. I don't remember the name of the model.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess my question is like, have you played a lot of Dungeon Crawl Classics? Mutant Crawl Classics, are those up your alley or?
Yeah, I play my fair share for sure. Played a lot of DCC. So like when I say we were playing like 5th edition, like I used so much DCC on my side of it that it was essentially Dungeon Crawl Classics.
So you were running a 5e game?
It was.
You don't sound very excited about it.
I mean, it's a fine game. I like machine guns and pizza, like and energy drinks. And like, I prefer more like sci-fi than fantasy, but I still love fantasy. Like, I mean, I would like a Hyperborea game would be cool, like some straight Conan style.
I mean, just like if you're listening instead of watching, Brian's room it's basically all blacklight posters, right?
It is. Yeah. I always live in blacklight.
I feel like I'm surprised that there's not like some glow sticks or some like Spencer gifts, like glowing dorm room structures in the back of the room.
Oh, like a lava lamp?
Yeah. Like a lava lamp.
It's right. It's closer to me on this side.
Like, I feel like every time I go into Spencer's, I just go right to the back and just like live in that little blacklight area. Like I want to be there as much as possible. Did I tell you about my idea for a blacklight module?
I don't think so.
So I want to write a module where it's a, printed book, but you have to run it in black lights. Like there's like secret blacklight inks and things that only show up that glow in the dark.
Yeah. I was going to do that on a t-shirt.
Well, like it's a map?
Yeah. So me and Andrew from Tiger Wizard from Epic Levels.
Tiger Wizard. Yeah.
He got busy, but we were talking about doing a shirt where it was a dungeon. I know, don't steal this if you're listening. So we're still going to do it. It's like it was a dungeon map, but then like if you wore it in blacklight, all the creatures and like the trail through the map would show up, and then on the back was going to be the room descriptions, but it was going to be it would look like tour dates.
I love that. Yeah, you're not going to do it.
I mean, we haven't got around to it yet. We were supposed to do it last spring, and here we are.
Yeah, well, there's still time. I saw you at Gamehole Con. You had this cool like skirmish game out. Is that a separate game or is it like an expansion for Neon Lords?
So it is a tabletop skirmish board game hybrid set in the Neon Lords world.
To give me the pitch. What's it called?
So it's called Roller Brawl. Every 1,000 years, this elder space god puts on a 500-year Roller Brawl tournament.
Hold on. So he only takes 500 years off then, right?
Yeah.
Or is it like 500 years and then he waits another 1,000 years?
No, 500 years and he waits 1,000 years, and then it's a 500-year tournament.
Oh,
and
so
then,
it's a 1,500-year cycle?
Yes.
I love that you knew the answer to that question.
Yeah, so this tournament of Roller Brawl was picked to happen on Neoterra XX. Usually it's all over the galaxy. It could be anywhere. And we're 499 years in to the 500-year tournament.
Okay.
It might even be 501 years, just to be like super stupid.
And what are they doing?
So you strap like rollerblades, skateboards and stuff, and you race around this track. And there is like gates that you have to cross through, and every brawler that goes through a gate is 1 point. But if you have the ball and you go through the gate, it's 3 points. And then to like first to 21 wins generally, but there's other ways to win. Or
is the first to 21 like in world as well? Like, do they play every day? Like, it's been going on for 500 years.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, sure.
Well, you knew the cycle, so I thought maybe.
So the tournament schedule, yes, they play every day, and then since there's a Neon Lords in world, it's a 25-hour day cycle. Okay. So like the Neon War added an hour to the day. I would say there's 25 games a day. All day, every day for 500 years.
It's really funny to me that you'll be like, I don't know that, but then but I know that there's an extra day in the day.
Well, I just never thought about it, but yeah. So there you go. That's the. But
the score isn't like 8 million to 700,000 something.
No, it's based on game wins.
They play every hour.
Yeah, but it's all different teams though. There's like teams from all across the galaxy.
So do you build a team?
So out of box, the starter box is going to have the Detroit Prime team and then the Slime City team. This isn't out yet. No, it's not out yet.
Okay, you're like promoting it. Okay.
Yeah. So Gamehole was our first like alpha build to show the public. We've been working on it behind the scenes for a while.
And who is we?
So it is me and Saul, he's the sculptor, and then Matt McGuire from Guar, he's doing a lot of the art, and then Hunter Jackson from one of the original Guar members is involved as well.
Oh wow, I didn't realize that you actually knew the Guar dudes. I knew he was
at Gamehole Con.
Oh, okay, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, that was like I was hanging out with him, so I couldn't really like do anything else. Not that it was a bad thing. I understand. He was my plus one.
The context, it makes more sense now. Understanding. Yeah.
That's the problem with cons too, is like, there's so much going on and it's like, you're trying to hang and you're trying to get there, but it's like, well, I got this to do. I got this. That
was what was cool about like Necronomicon or the small ones where you're like, I don't have a bunch of like, I really like Origins. Origins is actually pretty big, but for some reason there's not a bunch of
doesn't feel big.
Like at Gen Con, there's like always like, oh, this person is in the country and they never are. Or like, this guy flew in from England and we got, or there's like this person's party, and at Origins, it's like, okay, we're done. It's also long. It's like 4 days plus a trade show day. But yeah, I like that where you can hang out and actually like get to know people. I have a funny Guar story. I saw Guar. I think I might have only seen them once. I think my girlfriend at the time went to go see them at Newport Music Hall in Columbus, which is where I'm from. And my buddy and I were like, yeah, we're not going to pay for that. So we ended up like about halfway through the show, sneaking in the side door of Newport Music Hall and watching Guar. And I think for those who don't know, Guar is like, I don't know, Brian, how would you describe them? They're like the metal theatrics. I don't know.
They're like Kiss, but cooler.
They're like Kiss, but if Kiss was actually heavy metal, or like Kiss has very like black metal style makeup and stuff, It's like kind of shiny and glam. And Guar is like disgusting, like gross mutant heads. And like they do all these really crazy onstage theatrics. And everybody always wears a white t-shirt because they have all this fake blood and they always kill their like props on stage. I think they probably killed some political leader on stage. Wait, so did one of those guys do all the art for this core book?
So no, not that core book. So Hunter is involved with Deities and Demibros doing a lot of the art, and then the only art in Roller Brawl is the Guar band art.
Is it like a Guar tie-in? Like, do those guys still play?
Oh yeah, they're on tour right now. I think they're playing Boston right now. No, they still tour, and I think they have a new album coming out too. Okay, so it all stems because I wanted to do the Guar PG, right? I wanted to do like a Guar role playing game, and
Guar PG. I was like, what?
the Guar PG, GWAR PG.
Okay, yeah,
right?
Guar PG. I got you.
Yeah, it's the stupidest, awesomest slam dunk name ever. So like I talked to the management. I got kind of far, but it fell short, and I kind of just panned it, And then there's this Guar Pod. It's like a podcast for the Guar. The Guar doesn't even do it. It's another guy that does it. He talks to Guar members. So I BS my way onto there to try in hopes of someone seeing me and like hearing my Guar PG woes, and it worked. And so we got together, and now we're doing Roller Brawl in hopes of someday putting out the Guar PG.
The Guar PG, yeah, okay.
And it's Neon Lords compatible, so you can literally take your Neon Lords characters into the Guar PG, and then a Guar member could be in like your Scumdog War Party and Neon Lords.
Have you heard of Wasteland Weekends?
I have, actually. There is a Neon Maniac, which that's what we call our fans, goes to Wasteland Weekend, and he had like a Neon Lords flyer with a QR code in his like battle rig or whatever they would call him.
Okay, so Wasteland Weekend is like this. It's like Mad Max cosplay meets Burning Man kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like a Mad Max Ren Fair, right? Kinda.
Yeah, and it's 4 or 5 days in the Mojave Desert, 2 hours outside of LA. But I mean, like you could go like there's like hotels are like 20 minutes away, so you could just go at night, not worry about the heat. It's in the desert.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But if you were there, you could run role playing games, because the other thing is that not only do they have Wasteland Weekend, but they have a new one called Neotropolis, which is all neon shit and cyberpunk. And it's like instead of like art cars and like, flames and shit, it's like cyber tech. And you're like not allowed to cosplay as an existing character. But I feel like that would be perfect for you. Just show up as the Neon Lord. Just get some glow sticks, run Neon Lords all day long, right?
I'll have to look into those. I wanted to do the Gathering of the Juggalos.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. Why not? Right.
Yeah, sure. I mean, are you a big ICP fan?
I don't think I've ever listened to a single song.
Yeah, but you just like the clown vibe, like the Juggalette vibe.
Well, they not really even they I mean, I was just like perusing, and one of the bands I like, Belushi Speedball, was playing. I was like, oh man, I wonder how much to vend. And yeah, you can vend. There's an ICP collectible card game that they do.
Really?
Yeah, and they do tournaments there. So I was like, there's kind of like gamers and ICP, like, I don't know. No one wanted to do it with me though. I wonder why. Yeah,
I mean, it's definitely a niche. It's definitely it's not for everybody kind of vibe, but
I couldn't go by myself.
Yeah, I understand that. So I think the Gathering of the Juggalos is at a site in Ohio that I have done a lot of gigs at. And I think one year we were like, the gig I was doing was like the week before, the week after, and a bunch of the guys from the band I was working with went, and they said it was a wild time because, like they spray Faygo on the crowd. I mean, it is very like, if you're into Guar, like I think the Venn diagram, like the very like almost immersive spray things on you concert experience. Yeah, there's not too many bands that do that, and they're one of them. So
I wonder if we could get an ICP Neon Lords tie-in.
You probably could.
I'll have to call their people.
I mean, how do magnets work, right? You see that? You never seen that
Nobody
video?
knows.
I feel like I wanted to ask you a bunch of questions about Ninja Turtles, but I don't really have any specific ones. I just love Ninja Turtles so much. What is your entry into Ninja Turtles?
A cartoon, probably, right?
Okay. I think we're close in age, I think.
But man, I'll tell you what though. So this is a great story if you got time for it.
Of course.
There was like so you always have your localized dollar stores, right? Like there's like the chains. But you always had that. I guess it would be a mom and pop dollar store, right?
Okay.
So we had one in the mall. The name escapes me, but they had the old Eastman and Laird comic, the trade paperbacks, like all like the 4 books back then it was. All the black and white comics for $1 a piece, right? So then your parents don't know that like it came from a violent, crazy comic book. So they're like, oh yeah, Ninja Turtles. Yeah, you could $1 for these comic books. Of course you can get it. Man, but like I guess I didn't realize either. And man, those are awesome. And they were awesome. They were like blew my mind. And then then they exploded. The cartoon and then the 89 movie came out. Blew my mind. And then 1992 Secret of the Use came out, and like even better, you got Vanilla Ice involved. It is just the greatest thing that ever happened to humanity.
Dude, I feel like Ninja Turtles, I mean, it definitely changed my life. It's like it was part of my identity. Like we would spend, my brother and I, and my mom was dating this guy at the time who had 2 kids. So the 4 of us were all around the same age. And we would just like run around in the parking lot behind my house pretending to be Ninja Turtles. And it was like the coolest thing ever. Like being in like elementary school, like and talking about like whether nunchucks or like size were better. Did you have the like pizza tossing van?
Oh, the pizza tossing van. So I never did. I know it's not a van though. It's like a sewer chucker or something.
Oh yeah. I might be smashing 2 different things together. Yeah.
You are. It's like it's a 1-man vehicle, but the new party wagon, my son just got it for his birthday, launches out like a pizza shooter on the side, and it's battery powered, and it's pretty sick.
Did you see the new movie?
I did. I've seen it 1,000 times. I absolutely love it.
I think I might have told you this in person, but I'll tell you now on air. Like in the middle of that movie, I was like, first off, I was like, this is awesome. And I thought to myself, whoever did the soundtrack for this, as soon as I leave the theater, I am going to download everything they've ever made. I'm like, this soundtrack is fucking awesome. And I walked out of the theater, and of course it's goddamn Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. It's like, of course, I already have everything he's ever made. But man, I just felt it was like this kind of like oozy, like electro punk soundtrack. Man, 5 stars, right?
Oh, absolutely. No notes. The movie's fantastic. The soundtrack is incredible.
What about, there's been so many things. Do you have any other like highlights, peaks or valleys, from the Ninja Turtle releases over the years?
Well, the live action tour, the Turtles on Tour, I never got to go see it.
Yeah, me either.
My kids like prefer the 2012 Ninja Turtles.
Is that it looks a little more cartoon? It's still animated though?
No, that's the newer one. So 2012 is like CGI, like 3D.
No, yeah, this is the one I meant. You're right. Okay. It is CG, but it looks like, they look very cartoony in their design, I guess. They're very like bubbly. What about the one that was like live action? Ish. So
I just thought about that because I watched a reel, a TikTok or a reel or whatever they're calling them.
Yeah.
Where they talked about when they crossovered with the Power Rangers. And now I'm interested in seeing that. And I was like, maybe I want to watch these because I mean, I was out of it. That was probably early 2000s.
Yeah.
Like, so I was a little too old to be watching it.
Or not old enough, depending on
or not.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So like, it was at that age where you're like, I'm too cool. Right. Yeah. So like,
not watching cartoons.
Yeah. Well, but I was watching the Dungeons and Dragons 80s cartoon.
Oh yeah.
So it's like I'm all over the place. So I never got into the live action, which I kind of want to do. It kind of actually looks pretty good.
Man, I'm so fuzzy on them. The one I'm thinking of is the one where they they have really big shells. Is that live action with like CG turtles?
I don't know. I know there's a live action one where I believe it's Venus, right? The female turtle shows up.
Yeah, man, I don't know. They all kind of blur together, man. I guess.
It's like once you break the original series to 2012, it's all fuzzy to me.
Yeah, sure.
For sure.
Hold fast, wretched sailor. We brace for the Broadside Barrage.
First TTRPG system you ever played?
Technically, it would have been 2nd edition D&D.
Most recent system that you've played?
I'd have to think back to cons. I think the last game I actually played was the Arkham Horror game.
When you're a publisher or, a developer, designer, it's pretty easy to just get stuck in always running your own game.
I like everything. I have to. I don't have a choice. Like, not that I love doing it, but like I don't get to play much of other games.
Yeah, I have a thing like we have this local meetup group that I run here in Denver. And every time I go, I'm like, man, I really want to run insert whatever I'm daydreaming about lately. But I'm always like, I could do that, but also A, I got to prep that, and B, I need to play test this other thing I wrote because I haven't play tested it enough. So
yep, exactly.
RPG that you haven't played yet, but you would like to try.
Besides Pirate Borg, right? It's definitely on my list because, playing as a monkey is insane.
Yeah. What about besides Pirate Borg?
Hyperborea for sure.
You, Brian Shutter, are a 5th level PC in a fantasy RPG. What class are you?
Barbarian.
Favorite Ninja Turtle?
Leonardo.
Favorite non-turtle TMNT character?
Genghis Frog.
Favorite pro wrestler?
Macho Man.
Hold on. Favorite pro wrestler besides Macho Man Randy Savage?
That's Scott Hall, Razor Ramon for sure.
Best action movie of all time.
Predator.
Good answer. I have written down best action movie of all time that isn't Terminator 2, but I wanted to see if that you would say that or not.
Predator's my go-to. Like, it's hard because there is legitimately so many good like action movies, especially around that era, like late 80s, early 90s to midnight.
Oh my God. The golden era.
Terminator, yeah, exactly. Terminator 2 is in my top, 3 of all time favorite action movies. And it's like Turtles. It like changed my life.
That movie's amazing. It's perfection in cinema.
It is.
Yeah.
I always give Predator the edge because Predator is our generation's Boba Fett, right?
Favorite Terminator movie?
Terminator 2.
Favorite Terminator movie besides Terminator 2?
I really like Dark Fate? What's the one with Christian Bale?
Oh, yeah. I forget the
I don't think
names
it's
of
Dark Fate.
Is it
Requiem? Terminator Requiem? Is that a name? But so it's cool because like I know like a lot of people pan that movie. It's all like, yeah, whatever. But it's cool to finally see the future war that like we always saw in the beginnings of the movies. Like the skeletons stepping on skulls and like, chain laser guns and like hunter killers flying over.
Yeah.
It's like this whole spectacle. It's like finally we get to see a movie based on that. And like, that was all right. It was good. I enjoyed it.
Have you seen the new Netflix animated show?
I have not. It's on my list.
I'm only a few episodes in. I don't think it got great reviews, but dude, the soundtrack, once again, the soundtrack in that,
banging, amazing.
Like so good that I was like humming it and I have it saved in my Spotify. I'll just like put it on when I'm working. It's like it's kind of got this like almost like synth wave, but it's got this like kind of lo-fi. It's like dark synth wave but like low kind of lo-fi techie vibes. It's really good.
I have to check it out.
Very good. Very perfect for like emotional moment in your cyberpunk adventure game,
they need to do a Terminator versus Predator movie.
I mean, I would see that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. They did comics.
RPG or video game setting that you would most want to live in?
The throwaway answer, the easy one, would be like the Terminator TMNT arcade game, right? So you can. It all depends, though, right? Like, are you like a main character in this world?
Let's say yes.
I would think 40K, Warhammer 40K, right? Like,
well, it's like absolutely one of the worst.
That's why. Like, I want to. That's why.
So, okay, what's your favorite 40K army?
Death Guard.
Death Guard, nice.
Yeah, I'm a chaos all the way.
What about non-chaos?
Non-chaos, I like Space Wolves.
Add an entry to the "What's in the cargo hold of the Ship of the Dead" D100 table.
It would be the jellied eye of Terror X, the Techno Lich.
Okay, that's better than what I was hoping for, but I was hoping you were going to put pizza on there, so we could have pizza on the Ship of the Dead.
Oh no, so like a jellied eyes on top of a pizza.
Favorite size die?
D20. Star
Trek or Star Wars?
Oh, yeah, it's Star Wars.
Favorite Star Wars movie?
Rogue Trader or Rogue One. Rogue Trader, Rogue Trooper, Rogue One.
Favorite libation or beverage during your gaming sessions?
Monsters.
What flavor?
I like the zero sugar or the low carb.
Video or computer game you've logged the most hours playing?
It's actually probably The Binding of Isaac.
Well, Brian, thank you so much for sailing the Dark Caribbean with me on the Ship of the Dead. Where can people find you on the interwebs? So pretty much there's neonlords.com is kind of like a little bit of a hub that we're kind of like working on. It's bare bonesy, but it has a bunch of the stuff. You can literally Google Neon Lords. We're the only thing that pops up. And then if you really want to get spicy, Neon Lords of Toxic Wasteland, you can pop up. Like, you could buy the books on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Goodman Games. Like, we're all over the internet. You've been listening to the Ship of the Dead podcast. Email your questions, comments, and buried treasure tips to shipofthedead@limithron.com. You can support the program, join our Discord server, get early access to new episodes, and instantly download hundreds of battle maps, assets, and adventures at limithron.com/Patreon. Tiers start as low as $2 a release, and you only get charged when I make something new. Pirateborg, my rules-light, rum-infested hack of Morkborg, is available now at pirateborg.com and retail stores everywhere. Ship of the Dead is produced by Limithron LLC, Our audio editor is Matt Kepler, and our music is by Alexander Miller. For more, head to limithron.com.